Hey everyone, Jeremiah here today. I have my student, or shall we say former student, Lili Zimble, and we're going to be discussing how Lily went from being a choir singer to also a solo performer. And she may have a little surprise for you as to why she's not taking lessons with me right now. But Lily, just to get us started, it's great to have you. Could you briefly introduce yourself? Very briefly, and then describe your musical experience prior to taking lessons with me.
Sure. Hi, everyone. Thanks, Dr. Selvey, for having me. I'm Lili Zimble. I'm a classical vocalist, and I've always loved to sing. I would sing in the shower when I was little. I'd sing to my cousin's dogs when I was in preschool and like shut the door and like say, "Hey, come on, I'm gonna sing to you." Um, I took piano lessons off and on when I was a kid, but I didn't sing in a choir until high school. I was definitely too shy in middle school to sing in choir. But eventually, when I started choir in high school, I also signed up for piano lessons again and my first private voice lessons in my senior year of high school. And I absolutely loved it. So then when I was looking into SMC, I was like, wait, there must be like a choir I can join at SMC. So I started choir with Dr. Selvey, and from there,
SMC, just to clarify, SMC is
Santa
Sans.
Monica College.
Great, go ahead, sorry.
Um, so then I enrolled in choir and eventually got into chamber choir and started taking lessons with Dr. Selvey.
Awesome. And then you've also studied privately with me since then,
Yes,
since you
since
finished
then.
that program and started applying for college. Great.
Yeah.
So let me ask you a few follow-up questions if you don't mind. How long have you
Sure.
been singing as a soloist?
As a soloist for 3 years now.
And how many of those years were before you started studying with me?
Um, None of them were.
That's great.
So,
That's a great
yeah.
example for somebody who might be looking for that. Also, what about as how long had you sung in choir? How many years had you sung in choir before coming to sing in an ensemble with me?
I had been singing for 4 years. So, in the fall of the fourth year, I started singing in Dr. Selvey's choirs.
Cool. And what made you decide to start singing in general? Like what was it that was your impetus to sing or even to keep singing?
It just feels so good. Like when I'm stressed, I go sing. I don't know if I have a further reason because like singing is just so fun for me and it always has been. So I've just always been inclined to sing.
Yeah, I also find singing therapeutic.
Yes.
So, yeah, it's one of the things that is a de-stressor for me, even though studying singing is work. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what made you decide to take solo lessons? What made you shift from the idea of singing with a bunch of people in an ensemble to going, "Hey, I want to learn how to perform on my own."
Well, I've always been a quiet singer. So I was like, maybe I should be a little louder, have more resonance. Um, and I also want to go into music education, so I figured some solo work would be good for that too. So then I could apply things I learned like directly to me, like to future students. Um, so the more experience, the better, basically.
Yeah, that's really great. A lot of people don't find that on their own, so that says a lot about how resourceful you are. So that's great. So when you started taking lessons, think back to when you started taking lessons with me. Did you have specific goals for yourself in those lessons? And what were they? Can you describe what they might have been way back then, 3 years ago?
3 years ago, let's see. Um, I think one of my goals, like mentioned a second ago was addressing like the volume because I was very shy and very quiet. So one of my goals was to be louder so people could hear me when I would perform. So we worked a lot on that. Um, and I quickly, well, maybe not quickly, but I got louder eventually,
Hmm.
and people could hear me perform. I also had to wear a mask at the time, or like mask most of the time I performed in applied class, which is like performing for your peers who are also in music at Santa Monica College.
Yeah, and in my studio, that similar kind of scenario happens on Zoom and in recitals. So once a month we have a studio class, people perform for each other, and then also I do recitals once or twice a year in a venue, and you would get that feedback for your peers and the rest of the audience, your friends and family. So you were performing during the pandemic. Your goal was to sing louder. Did you have any other, and that, eventually the mask was able to come off, but did you have
Yeah.
any other goals um, that kind of came up? So in the beginning, you wanted to be louder, you wanted to project more, you wanted to have
Mhm.
more resonance. Did those goals shift at all over time?
Um, it definitely stayed the same for a lot of the time. I'm still working on it in some ways, definitely. I don't think you're ever done working on something. There's always progress to be made.
Absolutely.
But what else? I wanted to also work a lot on breath support as we got into lessons and like having like taller vowels in space to which also helped with being louder. So, yeah.
Good. So, so I hear you saying some of your goals were there. What were your frustrations in trying to achieve those goals during the process of taking lessons? What barriers or frustrations did you have?
I think one of the barriers I had was when I was performing in front of my peers. I was just like really shy and I was really anxious about performing in front of them. So that also made me have less volume when I sang. Um, but the practice of getting up and performing in front of peers throughout the semester did help me get louder. And then just with confidence in singing, like I gained a lot of confidence taking lessons with you. So that helps too.
Awesome. So you started going towards like the follow-up question already. You said that some of the things that helped were just performing, just that experience of doing it over and over again kind
Yeah.
of helped you. You also built confidence. Can we unpack that a little bit? What are some of the things that we worked on that helped you get past the barrier or frustration of being anxious or being concerned about, the audience in your
Um,
performance?
I think you reminded me like just like you get better at for performing like with more experience and like it's okay to be nervous. So just like that validation um was good and like just like getting to know the people in the program more helped too. Like I think it was definitely a combination of things, not just like one thing.
Yeah, and feel free to say other things that were helpful because that might be helpful to other people who are experiencing. If you want to expand beyond just you and me, but like other situational things, feel free to respond that way too. If not,
Sure.
no worries.
Yeah, I do a lot of therapy too, so I learn a lot of like techniques. Like I don't know. I can't think of one off the top of my head, of course, but
That's okay.
I just like the experience of like being in therapy, having like those um reframing your thoughts basically. your negative
Hmm.
thoughts to like positive ones. Like, for example, oh, I'm not gonna do well on this performance. Yes, I am going to do well. I've done it before and I can do this again. That kind of thing.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
that helps me a lot too.
What about, did you have any goals in your lessons with regards to reading a little bit better, how to learn your music better, how to practice, diction, anything like that? Did you have any of those goals? And if so, did you have frustrations in any of those? And maybe what were some ways that we addressed those in the studio?
Let's see. Or not diction. Well, yes, diction a little bit, of course. Um, that was a thing I was working on, especially French diction. That is one of the hardest languages. Um, but I was gonna say, musicianship, like sight reading, because that is always a struggle for me. So we worked a little bit on that, just like especially like recently as I was preparing um, for a college audition. I'm not good at like IPA, or for anyone who doesn't know that, it's not the beer. It's the International Phonetic Alphabet, which is like which is a thing like singers often use to help with the pronunciation of languages. So we kind of
Hmm.
did like a little bit of that. But we did in that too. We made sure I had the right like vowels, um, so I could sound as authentic as possible.
Hmm. Yeah, great. And um, I guess the last thing that I want to ask you is what kept your interest in taking lessons? Besides the fact that you were in a program that required you to, but then you continued taking lessons with me privately once you finished the program at Santa Monica College. What piqued your interest? What kept you going? What kept your motivation and inspiration to keep trying? Was it a new goal? Was it just the pure love of it? Just talk about your experience.
It was definitely a lot of the pure love of it. Um, we had a lot of fun in lessons, and I was like, I want to keep that going a little longer before I like transfer out. So that brings me to like another one of my goals. I knew I wanted to transfer um, to another school, and I knew that continuing voice lessons would help me with that because I'm a music major, and music majors have to submit, well, yeah, music majors have to submit videos of them performing as part of their application. So I knew that would be coming up, so I wanted to continue for that reason too.
Yeah, so it's always great to have a goal in mind, and it's also great that you know that when you walk into a lesson, you're going to enjoy it, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So I think that was really cool that you kind of hit the emotional and you also hit the like very practical.
Yeah.
So thinking about now that you're quote unquote done with lessons with me, you're going to continue lessons in your current program.
Yes.
And maybe you'll come back and visit the studio here and there. But now that you've finished kind of taking lessons with me for a while, what areas of your singing have improved? What areas of your musicianship have improved? And by how much would you say? A little, a lot, or in certain ways, was it a whole lot? Or just talk about that as a little bit.
I'd say a lot of my like technique improved, like breathing and diction and just like any of those like aspects, like resonance, they all improved quite a bit from where I was. Um, so that was really helpful. And then yeah, of course, like the musicianship side of it improved too. Um, I definitely learned like how to start learning a song. Like you don't start with like singing it right away. It's like a lot of the rhythm first and speaking the text on rhythm, that sort of thing. So I learned a lot about that too. And even though I don't necessarily use it all the time when I have to learn like something really fast, it is helpful um, to have that knowledge.
To break it apart so that you can really dig in and do well.
Yeah.
So how to learn a song, I heard you say, has increased and improved. You went from struggling with that at the very beginning, remember
Yeah.
that? And
Yes.
now you have all the tools you need, and you can
Yeah.
keep improving those skills, but you at
Oh
least
yeah.
have them all and you know how they work.
Yes.
You also talked about your resonance increased. And I would say when you came in, like Lily, this is one of the things that I love about you. You came in and yes, you were shy, but the shyness translated into like this really quiet, almost inaudible sound sometimes. And now you just let go and you let us hear your wonderful voice. And it's so wonderful. It's
Thank you.
exciting. And your diction too. You know, you're able to communicate so much more when people can understand you. And I feel like you're an example, a shining example for your future students because you can talk about how you went from, let's say, like 10 out of 30 to like 25 out of 30 in 3 years. And, if you just keep at it and be okay with struggling, you can get better. And you're going to be such a great teacher because of that. Um, why do you think those things that you talked about improved? What went into that improvement?
Um, just like the want to improve. Um, I knew I wanted to improve with like the volume and everything I've talked about so far. Um, so that kept me going. Um, you helped a lot. You like were always very encouraging. Um, so that's what helps me primarily, I think.
Yeah, so you what I if I can rephrase and you can tell me if I'm right,
Sure.
you personally had drive and then you also had encouragement and support
Yeah.
from me. And
Yeah.
those two really you think helped you improve.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Yeah, because if you didn't have that drive, no matter how much support I would provide, it wouldn't matter, would it? You're really the one doing all the work. Um, so I want to ask you, how has your stage presence and confidence and poise improved in performance? And how much of that do you think is because of all of these other areas of improvement that we've talked about, or
Oh,
not?
it's improved so much. I had an audition for college last week for college choirs. Can
Which you
can I
said went
do
well. Yeah, talk about
yeah.
it.
I'll do a little plug. I'm currently at Cal Poly SLO, San Luis Obispo, and I auditioned for two of their advanced ensembles last week, their choir ensembles. And I was walking up to the audition table, and compared to the freshmen or the first years, um, they could tell I wasn't a first year because of how poised I looked and how confident I seemed. And then when I walked in to the audition room, they thanked me for like dressing up a little bit for the audition. And I was just very confident. I think a lot of that definitely has to do with what we've done in lessons, all the performance experience I've had at Santa Monica College, and I'm just really, really thrilled and excited for this new um, part of my journey.
That's amazing. I hear the confidence in your voice in a way that I didn't hear 3 years ago, even in just the way that you talk, Lily. It's so wonderful. And I can't wait to hear from you in 10 years when you're talking about your students and parallel their journeys paralleling yours. It's going to be amazing. Uh, so let me wrap up with a couple of questions. The first one is, why would you recommend others work with me or not?
I'd recommend others do work with you. You you pass the test. Um, we have a lot of fun in lessons, if you can't tell. Um, yeah, I'd recommend that others work with you because first of all, like I just said, it's really fun. Second of all, you have a lot of experience and you provide a lot of like knowledge from your experiences to your students. So I've gained a lot of knowledge from you about performing and singing. So yeah, I'd recommend that people take lessons from you.
Well, thank you. And along with that, what type of person do you think is a good fit for studying with me in the studio?
Someone who's ready to work hard but also have fun. Because singing is fun. Um, and then someone who's like determined to work hard,
Hmm.
um, even when things don't go the way you expect. Um, it's definitely important to um, just be kind to yourself. And there definitely will be moments of frustrations, but you can do it.
Hmm. Ooh, I love that encouragement at the end. Yes. We all really, really struggle at times, and sometimes for longer periods of time than we want.
Mhm.
But perseverance and being positive through those struggles is really, really important. So thank you for sharing that. And um, I really want to say, Lily, it's really great to kind of take a look back at your journey so far, and I can't wait to see where your journey continues to lead. And I really appreciate your taking the time to share this with everyone. And I'm looking forward to seeing you soon.
Yay, see you soon.